the main thing of this episode was we got the mirror of Matt suits up, Fisk goes full on Kingpin mode.
Yeah. After watching how well he was portrayed in this and how cool of a character he is, this might be the kind of thing that jettisons him into like towards that A and S tier of supervillain. And it looks like it's about to end, and Robert Downey Jr. has just walked down the length of the chairs and sat down in the final chair.
Yeah, it has just ended. So it wasn't 50 chairs. 27 chairs in total.
27 chairs. Does that include Robert Downey Jr.'s chair?
It does. No more.
Yes.
The actor played no more.
And that had me back on board.
You flipped instantly to, okay, this is hype. We've got no more.
I folded like a cheap suit.
I think it was at this after Tom Hiddleston, you were like, oh, imagine we get Patrick Stewart followed by McKellen. To which immediately we are met with X-Men theme music, and we both freaked the fuck out.
Hello and welcome to episode 155 of Cutscene Combos. Wow, we have got a big week this week. Character profile is on Kingpin. We've got Reacher penultimate episode.
Yes, episode 7.
Yeah, I believe that's right. Daredevil 5 and 6.
Yes.
We've got predictions for CinemaCon, which kicks off on Sunday. And as always, we've got the Nerd News Network, and maybe we'll discuss some chairs later on as well. But before that good stuff, Horizontal, how's your week been?
My week's been pretty good. I'm trying to think what has gone on over the weekend. Oh, I did some DIY jobs over the weekend. My parents were away last week, so before they got back, I did some plastering jobs and sanding plaster, which creates a lot of dust, I've learned. So that was fun to clean up. But yeah, I did some DIY jobs, got my photos edited from my family weekend away.
Oh yeah, I saw some of them went up. Looked very nice.
Some early ones. Yeah, sent all the ones to the family and stuff. There's some really nice ones in there of the little ones and stuff. So everyone seemed to like them. Everyone always enjoys. I'm like the family photographer, so
yeah, I can imagine being a photographer during a family event. Not even an event, like just a family get together. Everyone just looks at you like, "Are you getting pictures of this?"
Yeah, they'll see me with my camera and stuff. And I think obviously everyone gets pictures on their phone all weekend, but I get some nicer ones for them.
If you ever meet my auntie Stephanie, do not mention that you're a photographer. She will literally hand you a camera and just have you taking pictures for the rest of your existence. The woman's obsessed with cameras.
It's basically what happened at my sister's weddings years ago.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, you're taking your camera out, even though you're not our paid photographer. And I'm like, yeah.
I really like the idea that it's quite a new thing of like just buying a fuck ton of disposable cameras and getting people to drop them in a bin as they're leaving the reception. That seems lit. Yeah,
would definitely do that.
Yeah, maybe get a proper photographer for like the portrait shots to make sure everyone's got a nice. But then like the reception pictures, fuck having the photographer sitting around for that. Just get disposables and you're gonna get some awesome pictures.
And then other than that, just kind of been chilling. It was F1 weekend, so I watched that. Got up early on the Sunday.
Which race city was that?
It was China, Shanghai.
Oh, okay. Is that one of the good races, or is that one of the pooey races?
It's not one of the worst ones. It was a fairly uneventful. It could have been very eventful because the thing was it'd been re-tarmacked for this year, which burns off rubber quicker because fresh, brand new fresh tarmac. So like there was a potential chance of more stops, more mess ups. But actually, the more interesting stuff happened post race because Ferrari both their drivers got disqualified.
Yeah, apparently, like I didn't see it, but my understanding is Hamilton got disqualified, and the margin by which he was disqualified, which doesn't change the decision, it shows how close it was. It was like as thin as like a credit card.
Yeah, so it was like half. So Hamilton got disqualified for something different to Leclerc, but Hamilton's was the skid plate on the bottom, which is the thing that always causes the sparks when they're like.
Yeah.
That plate has a minimum thickness it has to be by the end. So if it gets worn down too much, obviously that's an issue. And it literally had gone under by like 0.5 mil or something, or like something ridiculously thin.
The line has to be drawn somewhere, but you do just go, oh, because like realistically, there's nothing you can do about that.
No, it was the same for so Leclerc and someone else got disqualified because after fuel samples were taken at the end, they dropped under the weight limit.
Oh no!
So this is the thing: is like obviously you don't run the exact amount of fuel to be sure you get round. You always underfill on fuel and hope that like there's a safety car or something that helps kill a bit of time, or like you just manage and lift and coast a bit and like manage your fuel properly. Because obviously you don't want
all that weight.
You don't want extra weight in fuel that just doesn't get used. The problem was they ran longer on tires, burnt more rubber. So after the fuel samples were taken, they literally dropped, similar to like Hamilton, they dropped by like 5 grams or a gram on like just under the limits. And it's like, it's one of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, more interesting post-race than the race itself.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, that's been my week. How's your week been?
My week's not been too bad. I can't remember if I said on the podcast. I know I said to you last week I was in danger of maybe becoming important at work and it's ruining my life. That means. So I've been asked to take on some new responsibilities and it's all going actually pretty swimmingly so far. So that's been quite nice. There is obviously, this is just the first week, but there's a few more weeks of a lot of heavy work to be done. And over the next 2 weeks, it's a big day out with my mum, which was a Christmas present. We booked a lovely day that she doesn't know anything about out in London.
That'll be nice.
And obviously still training for the 10K run, which is going to be pretty intense. And trying to stay fit for that is pretty daunting at the minute. So it's been quite a busy weekend. Like the entirety of April, I'm looking at, I'm like, this is just chaos. But it is all going pretty smoothly so far, which is quite nice. But other than that, it's been pretty good. We took my dad out to the football on Saturday. We went to watch Arsenal women versus Liverpool women. He's a Liverpool fan. We're Arsenal fans. And we beat them 5-0, 4-0.
That's a lovely day for him then.
Yeah. Bless him, his back had also gone in the morning. So he was like really struggling. He was like, I want to go because this is going to be a lot of fun and it'll be nice to like get out and spend the day with you. But he suffered for it like a soldier, and then his team got decimated, which never ideal.
No.
So in the end, they lost out, but we got there. It was great fun. I had a great time. But we also watched so many films this weekend to the point where I finally caved and I've downloaded Letterboxd.
Oh yeah, I saw you tweet about that.
Yeah, I was like, fuck it, I won't go back and like. Because you can tag stuff as a first watch or a rewatch. So
you won't
anything
be doing many rewatches then.
Yeah, so this is the thing. I'm not a big rewatcher. No. So they're my favorite Marvel film is Winter Soldier. I might not have a Letterboxd review of that for probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Just because of how infrequently I rewatch stuff. But yeah, I've just decided I'll start it now. Whatever films I watch, I will throw on there. If it's a rewatch, I'll say it's on my first watch and I'll do it. But yeah, we watched some really good ones this weekend that I've been meaning to watch for a while. We watched Good Will Hunting, an absolute all-timer. Sorry, we're currently both watching this live stream. And it looks like it's about to end, and Robert Downey Jr. has just walked down the length of the chairs and sat down in the final chair.
Yeah. It has just ended. So it wasn't 50 chairs.
It wasn't 50 chairs, and we're missing some big names. We're missing some really big names.
We'll save this discussion for later. But...
Yeah, but just as a little show how live this is, we're missing some big names, and that'll be very interesting to discuss later.
I like how...
Oh my god.
Like, we both were like, we'll keep it cool unless there's like a big one. And then I saw someone walking along the chairs, and I was just like, wait,
what? My first instinct was, oh my god, has someone found the soundstage they're doing this in?
The guy who we've been hearing walk up with the chair has accidentally come from the wrong angle this time.
Yeah. Anyway, so I watched Good Will Hunting, which is obviously an iconic film.
Yeah, great
Never
film.
seen it before. I'd never seen it
Really?
before. Yeah,
Wow.
I'd never got around to it.
Such a good film.
Phenomenal film. Instant top 10 film for me. It's amazing. In fact, I said to Jenna, how dare Matt Damon and Ben Affleck make that their like, hello, I'm here Hollywood moment.
Yeah.
The gall, the audacity. We watched the Jim Carrey film Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. Bit weird. Okay. Very good though. We watched the 2012 Judge Dredd film.
Oh, wow.
With Carl Urban. Yeah, no, I've said to you over like the last little bit, I want to watch more films that I never got around to seeing.
Yeah, you said you had a bit of a backlog to work through.
Yeah, and Palm Springs, the one with Andy Samberg and Christine Milioti, where they're both stuck in a time loop together, a bit of a rom-com.
Okay.
So yeah, we watched like 4 films this weekend. It was fucking great. I had a great time.
Reminded me, I've watched over this last week. I've binged Landman, which is it's a Paramount Plus. It's
okay.
By the same guy that made Yellowstone, Tyler Sheridan.
Yeah.
It's about like Texas oil.
Oh, this is the one with This is the one I thought Yellowstone was with Billy Bob Thornton.
Yes.
Because when you said you're watching Yellowstone, I was like, wait, is that the one with Billy Bob Thornton? And you were like, no. I was like, oh, okay.
It's got that like typical drama, like I would put it in the realm, obviously like Yellowstone, but realm of like Breaking Bad, Breaking Bad, that sort of drama, sort of criminal show.
Okay.
But it's Texas oil, so it was only 1 season out, and I've been through the first season, but it was very good and very much enjoyed. Worth a watch, I would say.
Yeah, I'll add it to my ever-growing backlog of things to watch.
Fair.
Insane. Right, should we get on with our character profile for this week? I can't believe, and I triple-checked this, that we've not done a character profile on Kingpin before. I can only imagine it was one that I was like, there'll come a day where it makes more sense to do it. And today is that day.
I mean, I can see why we hadn't, because obviously it was pre-podcast when Hawkeye came out.
Yeah, I believe so.
So it was like, that would have been the time we probably would have done it.
Yeah.
There hasn't really been a show or anything since then, and we've had so many other characters that have kept us busy.
Absolutely. But let's get into it. Wilson Fisk, or the Kingpin, made his first appearance in Spider-Man number 50 in April 1967. Standing at 6'7" and weighing 450 pounds, he's as physically dominating and powerful as he is cunning and intelligent. Fisk was born into a poor family. This poverty, along with his parents' constant arguing, created a very insecure child. This got even worse as he got older and began being bullied for his weight as well. This finally came to a head when at 12 years old he committed his first murder. It was at this moment he became a criminal and decided if that was what he was, then he was going to be the best at it that he could possibly be. He began vigorously training himself to become a physical force. However, upon deciding this wasn't going to be enough to run a criminal enterprise, he also began learning about science and the arts, anything he could really get his hands on from the library or steal from the bookstore. One area that really stuck with Fisk, however, was the political sciences. And he became obsessed and began devising a way to use what he'd learned about politics to run his criminal enterprise. Going from a small, poor, overweight boy with no real education, he became a dominating physical force that could go toe-to-toe with almost anyone, and developing a knowledge and understanding of the world that would let him control organised crime from the shadows while appearing to be completely innocent himself. Taking the money he earned from his criminal enterprises and investing them in completely legitimate businesses, Fisk was able to truly begin to take control over New York. Portraying himself as a lowly spice importer, he was able to avoid detection from authorities, thus allowing him to begin building relationships with the politicians and high society of New York. This further legitimised Wilson Fisk. It was in this charade that Wilson met Vanessa. Their relationship developed quickly, and soon they found themselves engaged to be married. This relationship brought Fisk lots of happiness and peace that he'd sought for his entire life. Their life got even better when they welcomed their son, Richard, into the world, completing their family. Many years later, Vanessa had grown tired of the Kingpin's criminal ways, and she forced him to retire. In an attempt to stop him from being able to go back to a life of crime, she also told him he needed to give over all his files and evidence of other criminal leaders to the authorities. This angered the other crime bosses, who then kidnapped Vanessa and seemingly killed her in an attempt to bring Kingpin back to the fold. In a surprising turn, Kingpin did hand over all his files on other crime bosses as he'd promised his wife. However, he then returned to New York, now as the sole boss, to truly run the entirety of New York with an iron fist. Of course, Kingpin has had struggles with Spider-Man and Daredevil on a near constant basis, but he's also had significant victories, like himself becoming the mayor of New York and setting up laws to put all vigilantes in jail or even execute them on sight. When considering the criminal element of New York in the Marvel Universe, one question is always worth asking. How is the Kingpin involved? I think Wilson Fisk, Kingpin, is one of the greatest villains created. He's not as iconic and fun as like a Joker or a Green Goblin or someone of that ilk.
Yeah.
But he's because they've made him such a well-rounded character. Any superhero you want to have operate in New York can go up against Kingpin.
Yeah.
In a small or big way. And it also gives you a lot more opportunities for team-ups. And that's why like Daredevil and Spider-Man have worked together so many times in the comics, because they are both big Kingpin fighters, right?
Yeah.
So when they go, oh, Kingpin's got a little bit too bad, it's like, right, Daredevil and Spider-Man team-up time, let's go. And it gives you a lot of options. And I really hope Marvel, on the cinematic side, decide to utilize that idea and just go, right, all of our street level stuff is set in New York. Everyone's fighting Kingpin all the time. Whether it's a little bit or a lot, it all leads back to Kingpin. And then every 6 seasons of TV, we'll have a big showdown. Like, and just, you can literally do that forever.
Yeah, the advantage you've got is because he is essentially head of the criminal underworld in New York, you can have everything lead back to him, and people go, oh yeah, that makes sense, he's at the top of it all.
Exactly.
So
and you can, and the beauty is, if you make it really like confusing how it gets back to him, everyone's like, oh, but how is he in charge? It's like, well, that's the beauty of it. We're so confused about how he's in charge. How could the police ever be expected to be able to put him in prison? We can barely follow it, and we're watching behind the scenes.
I agree.
Talking of very large criminal enterprises.
Yes.
Reacher. Oh my goody.
Episode 7.
Last week out, he got exposed finally, and everyone knew what was going on.
Yep.
So this week it was a plotting and planning time.
It was a lot of planning. It's all seemingly going their way. Neagly rocked up. We knew this was coming, and as soon as it was like, it kicked off with him having a phone call of, oh yeah, my guy's going to be coming to help. I was like, oh, that's Neagly. Neagly's on our way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will say the biggest shock is that it took to episode 7 for Reacher and the FBI woman to bang.
Yes.
we called it in episode 2, and it's taken us to episode 7 for this to actually happen.
Yeah, exactly. But it has happened. They and it all went wrong very quickly after that as well.
Yeah.
Which was really funny. She was like, no, we can't do this. It'll just complicate things. She's like, I changed my mind. I know the real you now. It's worth it. And then basically instantly after that, shit started going wrong.
Yeah. And then obviously they then got pissed off at each other because Reacher seemingly wasn't going to get his opportunities to take in Quinn.
Yeah.
Because they'd played the dad, I forget his name now. But Neagley had met him and kind of persuaded him to try and get info on when the deal was going down, as it was his only way to protect his son.
Yeah.
We're led to believe that Quinn tells him where it is, and we think, okay, Neagley's following the buyers. They're all set up, getting set up for this buy. They're undercover. And then you're like, oh, well, Reacher's... I was like, sat there, I was like, okay, so at what point does Reacher somehow just blow this whole thing up and just say, fuck it, I don't care, I'm doing my own thing?
Yeah.
To which then he does storm off and whips out a sniper out of the boot of his car.
The most Reacher thing I think that's happened all season, ironically.
The funny thing is, I was like, oh, yeah, of course he's got some... like. And the funnier thing to me was the FBI woman comes over and she's like, oh, going to get food is code now for going to buy a sniper. And he was like, well, it was in a pawn shop. But that's when, like, well, obviously we're jumping around here, but it ends on the cliffhanger of Reacher on the phone to Neagley saying, make sure to distance yourself from me. I'm about to break 1 million federal laws.
Yeah. If I don't manage to be lucky enough to spend my life on the run, I'm going to a federal prison for a very long time.
Yeah. And anyone who's connected to me will probably also get pulled in. So to which then he's like, deal's about to go down, and Neagley goes, well, I'm still following the buyer, so I don't know who's pulled up there. To the cliffhanger of the buyers going down at the party and Quinn never trusted the dad, which shouldn't really have been a surprise.
No, it shouldn't have.
But it still caught me off guard.
I'm enjoying it because the entire episode, it really feels like they're putting together a plan that can't possibly fail. And it because of the way like we know this format works, it felt like we were going to get to the end and they were going to be ready to ambush the buy, and then it was all going to kick off because you've essentially got like a 3-party fight going on.
Yeah.
But then you got that twist and then you're like, oh shit, it's going to be even more complicated because they now need to get to the right place and then there'll be a 3-party fight. So I think it was a really good bait and switch from the writers to make like it was meeting the expectations of where we expected the story to be, and it just subverted them once again to really reset what we thought was happening.
Well, yeah, they kind of hid the misdirect because obviously going into it, we know the viewers from the last seasons, oh, this is going to end in a big old gunfight. So then when they decide to go and tell the ATF or whatever, and bring them in and they take control, we're kind of like put onto the thing of like, oh shit, this isn't quite going to go how we expected. So maybe not a big gunfight like that. So like we're already kind of thrown off and we think, oh, well, this is going to go a weird way. So that it completely distracts you from the fact that maybe this is a complete switch up. I will say something that really I thought was really good and well written was the moment between the dad and the son where he kind of apologized to him.
Yeah.
Clearly because he was like, I'm either dying or I'm going to prison. And this might be the last time I get to talk to my son.
Yeah. Best case scenario, I'm going to prison after this. So we won't see each other a lot.
But I thought, because we've kind of, I want to say they've kind of sold us on the dad being somewhat caring, but also tried to make it feel like he was purposefully like didn't care about his son.
Yeah, quite cold, I think, is probably the best way to describe it.
But I thought it was nice to see that side get shown and exploit, like give that character that moment. I'm interested to see if Quinn does find out. I want to say it's guaranteed that Quinn dies, but I'm actually not sure. It wouldn't shock me if Quinn gets away again.
I think they're setting this up to be a Reacher doesn't have a set supporting cast for a couple of seasons because he's on the run for committing murder.
There's that
and then we get 2 small-scale stories where he really has to try and keep his nose a bit cleaner to not raise any alarms.
Hmm.
And then season 5, for instance, or season 6, is the government really need his help for a big problem, and they go, this will right all your wrongs. Or like he gets arrested at the end of a season and he gets given the opportunity to right his wrongs in the eyes of the law.
Yeah, I could see something like that going. I could see this ending with Quinn remembers who Reacher is or something with some face off, and somehow Quinn slips away.
It would be really funny if he hits him over the head with like a frying pan and then he remembers who he is.
Just knocks the sense back into him.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah, I wouldn't like, and like you say, we get a couple of seasons where he's on the run, can't really try and hunt down Quinn very easily because he's also trying to keep low profile.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, this show's been a lot of fun.
It really has. They've done a really good job. It's definitely a level up from season 2, which was not bad in any way. And hopefully they can keep kind of going up. It's been like the most successful TV show on Prime Video. Like as I can't remember if it's full stop or just one that have been made by Prime. I can't remember exactly what the definition is there, but it's absolutely smashed it. Season 4, I believe, was already greenlit before season 3 came out, so we should be good there. I see no reason we don't get like 6 or 7 seasons of this pretty easily at this point, especially when we've seen it grow every season on season to being the biggest show on their platform. This is kind of probably going to become their banker that they rely on for the next 4 or 5 years to keep viewers coming back while they can try and get the successor. So it's like, oh, you come for Reacher, you stay for Cross, Invincible, The Boys, whatever. Yep. Interesting that Reacher managed to usurp The Boys as well. I don't know if it's just because of the part of the internet we're on, but I would have guessed The Boys was their biggest show. But maybe just Amazon's video platform as a whole has got bigger over the last year or so.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the next season of The Boys then tops this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a really good sign for Prime that what they're doing with their video platform is clearly working. Yeah, if they can have year-on-year record-breaking shows, that's always a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Speaking of potential record-breaking shows, Daredevil. Honestly.
I have never watched a filler episode and like been so I don't feel like filler episodes are allowed to ever be an insult again after this.
I mean, here's the easiest way to say this is it never felt like a filler episode.
No, and don't get me wrong, look, it did serve some purpose in the story, right? It got Matt closer to being Daredevil again.
Yes, but the grand scheme of things compared to some of the other, like it was more filler-esque, but like it at no point did it feel like it because you're just so locked in.
Yeah, exactly. Also, we got some Ms. Marvel and obviously her father cutting about.
Seeing Kamala's dad was such a cool little like Easter egg, especially for us who have loved the Marvels and loved Miss Marvel.
Kamala Khan is my absolute goat.
Him being like, oh yeah, we've got our, like when they're talking about the Jersey area, and it's like, we've got our own superhero. And Matt's like, you've got a superhero over there, which I love adds into the idea that we've often talked about of like New York is so full of heroes, and they've all got their like little areas they deal with. It just adds into the fact that they're not gonna know everything going on in New York. It's such a big place.
Yeah.
And
I hope we get to see Iman Vellani and Charlie Cox together at some point because they would act up a storm. Them two together in a scene would be phenomenal. They both adore their characters so much that I think it would be great. Watching Kamala like fumble around, not trying to accidentally reveal herself.
Well,
And obviously, he would know the second.
Yeah, this is what I was going to
Like
say.
she accidentally gives it up.
He's going for dinner, and like the parents know. So it's like if he asks any question of like what she does, and they like he's gonna know they're all lying instantly.
Uh-huh.
To which then he's probably gonna eventually put two and two together. I loved that we also got the moment of what kind of lawyer are you? A really good one.
Yeah.
Once again.
Have you ever watched what's it called? This is a rogue reference. I need everyone to just stick with me here. Bank robbery film with Denzel Washington. Inside Man. It is a film about a bank robbery, and the guy literally. So they rob the bank. All of the bank robbers leave as hostages, apart from one. They've basically built a fake wall inside the vault that he then hides in, and then like a week later, he just walks out the front of the vault like nothing's wrong.
I haven't seen that film, but it's
a very good film. I'm 99% sure this is the same bank.
Oh, that would be funny. It
felt really similar in like the layout of the foyer. I know banks have a pretty similar vibe, but it just felt like it was filmed in the exact same bank. And I'm pretty sure Inside Man is set in New York.
It wouldn't surprise me if that is like a bank set, or like often is used for films.
Yeah, but I'm 99% sure that's the same bank for at least some of that episode. Whether they built like their own vault or whatever, I don't know. But I found that really funny. I've never. It's not often I'm watching something and I'm like, I feel like I've seen this exact place before.
So, something I was going to ask, I don't know if there is an answer to this. Were the bank robbers any specific? I didn't know if the coloured hoods meant anything, or if it was just purely to be a bit more. Obviously, they're linked to that Irish gang that we know is linked with Fisk.
As far as I know, it's not anything I've seen people talking about. It's nothing that jumps out to me. I think it's just a little bit of a comic booky thing where you color coordinate people so it's easier to keep track of the characters, and I think it just looks cooler.
Gave them an excuse to be able to get Matt some sort of face covering to then beat up the
guy. That really helps that you've got a canon reason for him being able to cover his face.
I kind of thought as much, but I wasn't sure. The whole bank robbery thing was so well done.
Yeah, and I mean it's definitely got something to do with Fisk at some level. I think it's kind of the idea we're supposed to get.
Yeah, in my head, I'm like, was he trying to get the diamond because of its worth so he can pay that debt that he owes? Potentially, but it all links into Fisk in some means, like we've said with Fisk. I really enjoyed the way the fight scene was done on the stairs with Matt, and like the immediate steps on the shotgun to make sure it doesn't drop. The way that they did the audio, they really made it clear that he was being very quiet and thoughtful about what sound he was making. But that whole choreography was really well done, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think in all fairness, they fucking smashed it. I think it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. But then episode 6 is like the complete opposite, but still phenomenal.
Well, kind of playing into that, we've all through this season, we've talked about the mirroring. Like episode 5, we got like the next lot of mirroring, which was Matt sort of having to lean into Daredevil again, like forced into the corner because of the bank robbery, to kind of make use of his skills. On the flip, Fisk had his gangster guy visit him in the office and kind of pushed him against, like, got him on his back foot of being like almost leaning into his Fisk ways again. So we got that mirroring of them both again on the edge of being pushed into their.
This entire season has been fuck the police and like a drug allegory at the same time.
Yes. And then going into episode 6, we obviously like jumping around here a bit, but we like the main thing of this episode was we got the mirror of Matt suits up, Fisk goes full on Kingpin mode.
Yeah. Decides that he's having a fight with this person to physically dominate someone once again. And it's funny because after all their struggling through the first 5 episodes to kind of not do it, the moment they do it, they kind of go all in instantly. Like literally Matt going, "Oh fuck it," and just suiting up.
I love that.
And Fisk just like not like a little bit of crime. He goes and grabs an axe, takes it to the person he's got in prison, and go, "If you can kill me with that fucking axe, you can go. If not, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you."
Yeah, honestly, I was like, "Oh shit, he's gonna go just absolutely just chop him up." And then when he threw the axe in, I was like, "Oh, this guy's screwed." Because like Kingpin giving you a weapon is never going to go well for you.
I think this is one of my favourite things about Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. They do such a good job of showing how smart and thoughtful he is. Which means when he does get physical, it's even more terrifying.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, he's like a bear. You're not going to stop him. He's just going to keep coming for you.
And let's be honest, he wouldn't give you a weapon if he then thought that was going to make him lose instantly.
It shows so much confidence. Go, here, have an axe.
But the line of Matt ringing the police, not saying anything, and going, "Fuck it," was so well, like just so well delivered. Of like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna suit up." Like instantly, I was like, "Yes, here we go. We're getting the suit."
And really, really good.
I'm sure there are going to be people out there, bad CGI on the little rooftop, like in the shadows.
Fine. It made him look a bit supernatural, which I think he needs a bit of.
This is what
there's something eerie about how athletic he is.
Yeah, and like it was such a quick moment, but I just know people will probably pull it up because they did in the first episode.
Yeah,
I think it looks fine. We both think it adds, like you say, adds that kind of eeriness to his and like more supernatural abilities.
Yeah.
But then the mirroring of their fight scenes was so good. Watching them both, like Kingpin being brutal, just the and then the mirror match cut shot of Kingpin headbutting him as Matt then headbutts Muse.
They're really playing on this idea that they are two sides of the same coin.
Yes, they really are, and it works so well.
The irony also that they've fallen to like the illegal half of their mind. Because what Matt is like objective or subjectively doing the right thing. But what he's doing is still illegal. Being a vigilante is illegal.
Yeah. Even more so in Fisk's.
Yeah, now that Fisk has greenlit his
task force,
anti-vigilante task force.
Yeah, which also interesting play. To me, it makes total sense. Obviously, I've found out he does in the comics because I looked up the name of that cop. I've already forgotten the name of that cop that he calls out.
Cole.
And found out that he was part of the task force to hunt Spider-Man for Fisk.
Yeah.
So, I mean, could we see this task force appear in the Spider-Man film?
If we're lucky. So no.
True. But makes total sense. He still wants to be a criminal. He's just doing it the legal way.
He's created a hit squad. He's chosen dirty police officers who do what they're told. And he's gone, and they don't report to you, they report to me, and they have special powers like no accountability.
Yeah.
Because that's what the world needs.
So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they play out and how Punisher, I think, ends up being involved with trying to deal with those guys.
think Punisher is going to literally eviscerate them.
I have a feeling they're going to customize their vests with Punisher's logo and be saying, we are the police task force, and have that logo on, and Punisher's going to be like, okay, now you're pushing it too far.
Yeah. They do not respect copyright law, and Punisher feels very strongly about copyright law.
Yeah. The Muse. We haven't talked about Muse being creepy as fuck. That
10 out of 10, no notes.
So obviously we knew he was draining blood. And I was like, kind of guessed that he was using blood in his art. I didn't quite realize to like what degree that was and how many victims there'd been. Also, the whole gouging out eyes.
Yeah.
They've done a great job of really like creepifying Muse for us and making us genuinely like, oh shit, this guy's scary.
And this is why I love this show so much. Born Again has done something that no other comic book media has managed to do, in my opinion, which is in back-to-back episodes, we have a very nothing burger superhero saves the day bank robbery. Like, there was nothing particularly special about it.
Typical kind of.
It was a Die Hard, right? He didn't have his suit. He couldn't protect his identity. He had to protect these people as best he could without exposing himself. Like, that's a trope that we've seen loads. It's a great trope. It works really well. But that's like that's pretty family friendly almost. Oh, it's a bank robbery. He needs to deal with the criminals without messing up.
Broken bones.
But they chose to take it a bit higher by making it more violent. But you could do that exact same story to the same level without there being an overt amount of violence. And then the very next episode, you're dealing with this very creepy horror film-esque serial killer that's draining blood and using it to paint walls. Like, there could be, and like, I'm not against it if they want to do it in the future. You could have done a 2-hour Daredevil film with Muse as the bad guy.
Yeah.
Similar to like the Batman with the Riddler as a bad guy kind of vibe with how creepy and evil he is. And yet they've gone, we're going to do them in back-to-back episodes and it's going to feel completely natural.
Yeah.
And that's really impressive.
The thing, I don't know if you picked up on this or if this was just me, but when Muse was obviously had White Tiger's niece, and then like he's just started to drain the blood and he hears something, the way they shot it from like following him and his perspective gave me the same vibe of like what we saw in Echo, of showing how scary Daredevil is.
Yeah.
Because like the first, like once the fight gets going, it kind of blends away from that. But like the first moment when he's like, he's looking around and then Daredevil just comes sprinting down the thing, I'm like, it's just on him in that tunnel. It's shot in such a way of like, you're on Muse's side and you're like, oh even the serial killer is a bit like, oh fuck, this is scary.
Yeah. Like this actually I think hurts superhero media a little bit in a funny way. Because normally like you're like, oh yeah, if I had superpowers I could see why it might be a supervillain. But then I see a scene of Daredevil, who, like, in the grand scheme of all superheroes, is one of the less scary ones. But, I mean, he's still relatively scary, but it's not like a Batman level of scary or something like that. And he just runs at you like that. I would literally just drop to my knees and go, I repent, I will do better. Can I be your sidekick? I do not want to get my ass kicked like this tonight.
Well, yeah. I mean, Muse ran away. Like, so...
Yeah. He took a solid fucking beating before he ran away, though. Like, he fought the good fight.
He did. But then him getting away is going to be interesting because obviously, I presume the cops are going to find that lair.
Probably.
Which then means it's a race between cops and Matt to who can find Muse.
Yeah. It's really funny, though, when you consider that Muse made his first appearance in 2016. As a character, he's not even 10 years old. After watching how well he was portrayed in this and how cool of a character he is, this might be the kind of thing that jettisons him into like towards that A and S tier of supervillain. And like once again, you can have him go up against most New York-based heroes.
Well, yeah, and like he essentially can become like a Scarecrow-esque, like creepy guy who gets out of prison, and then look. Art and graffiti made with blood is starting to show up again. And
it's just, and like you could, especially with like, I mean, New York is so like, people always talk about New York being a character itself, which I always find a bit pretentious, but I actually do think they've got a point in this case. New York feels like it's breathing and alive in this show a lot better than it did in the Netflix version. Yes. And that comes from like the BB report and stuff like that. season 3 of Born Again, if you just go, I've seen some weird paintings coming up with no other comment. Like, people can be like, oh, is he talking about Muse? And then you get to feel like you are one of them New Yorkers. Because if you live in one of the neighborhoods where Muse was putting up them murals made of blood and you find out he had 60 victims, and then you start seeing similar art in your neighborhood again, you would be scared shitless. You'd be whoa, is he back? You're calling the police like, you need to come test this painting. We need to know, am I safe? Do I need to move? What's going on? And I think that like adds a really cool layer of making him a returning villain. And right now, Daredevil is the only show across Netflix to now that has pulled off returning villains with Kingpin and Bullseye.
Yeah.
Go for the trifecta with Muse, and then just go, now let us write a film and show you how you can make a villain come back.
Well, yeah, this is the thing I was going to say. Like, they've done it with Bullseye where they've had him arrested and clearly he's going to come back again.
Mm-hmm.
They can play this in a way that it ends with Muse gets arrested and whatever else happens, whether it's Matt gets in, like the task force gets eviscerated in the process or whatever, but Muse, I think, will end up getting arrested, and that sets him up for, oh, he can come back and be another villain again, or he can show up for Spider-Man or something.
I think that next week, Punisher is going to kill the majority of the task force.
Potentially.
And then Fisk is going to hire Dexter to the task force.
Ooh. Yeah.
Because that's a proper Kingpin move to go, yeah, he's a criminal, but I'm a criminal.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I can see him using Bullseye.
Especially now that he knows Daredevil's back as well. He's going to know Daredevil's back soon.
So
he's going to be like, fuck it, Dex.
At some point, he's going to confront Matt for being back, because he said to him, like, they had their little chat of like, if either of them step out of their lane. So then it's going to be a question of, does Matt find out Fisk is back before Fisk finds out Matt's back? And I don't think so. So I think that's going to be an interesting storyline that plays out. Also, his new therapist girlfriend wanting to do a book on vigilantes and question him about it. I'm intrigued to see how he plays that out. I love the difference in his
reaction to Punisher versus Daredevil. She asks about Punisher, and he just imagines Frank talking about his feelings and bursts out laughing. And she's like, oh, what about Daredevil? He's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Really funny.
In my head, I was like, well, all that's going to happen if you sit down with Frank is, you're going to realize he really believes in what he's saying, and it's going to be not really a perspective that's very useful to you.
Yeah. He genuinely believes with his entire heart that he's doing the right thing.
But I mean, like, once again, this show's so well written, so well shot. They're smashing it with this return for Daredevil.
Absolutely. I couldn't be happy of what we're getting. I'm looking forward to the last 2 episodes we've got. I believe it's only 8.
2, 3.
I don't think we're going to get anything particularly definitive. I think this season and season 2 lead directly on from one another. I don't think there's going to be a big cliffhanger or anything, or a big resolution. I think maybe it ends with Fisk deciding that his task force needs to be made of villains and powered individuals.
So there's 9 episodes, so we've got 3 episodes left.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where we get to here, but I'm very much looking forward to it. The show gets better week on week, I feel.
Yeah,
I'd be okay with a big episode next week, a filler episode week 8, and then the finale. Because I'd be happy with them writing a 9-episode season. So 9 episodes which are the story, and then 3 additional episodes that are like the bank heist episode that get inserted to break up the idea. Because I know it's completely different, but there is elements that I like it when they try and keep the same. In a comic book run, most arcs last like 3 to 5 issues, but that isn't 3 to 5 issues of them just hunting down the bad guy. Their life is developing, which we see with him in like the courtroom and his relationships, and they're stopping other crimes, petty crimes. I think having the 9 episodes that are written to be telling the story of Matt becoming Daredevil and Fisk becoming Kingpin again and how that reconciles, and then having 3 episodes that are like the bank heist episode, and then whatever you want, just him stopping crimes in like a bottle episode kind of fashion.
Yeah,
really is going to make people love these shows a lot more, and I think that's an interesting thing they should play around with more.
Yeah, no, I agree. The format the way they've been telling this story so far has been feeling great, and of course we want more. So like a little bit extra longer on the season would just make it that little bit more perfect.
Exactly, I completely agree. CinemaCon. So CinemaCon goes on every year around this time. I don't think it actually has set dates, but it's always around this time. And basically, I think this is like the 5th one. Is it? I don't know. It's got bigger in the last few years.
I was gonna say.
And what it allows the studios to do is turn up and kind of show films they're working on. It's kind of like what Marvel and DC would do at Comic-Con, but for just films in general.
Yeah.
So we've got Sony, Lionsgate, Warner Bros, Universal, Amazon, Paramount, and Disney Plus have all got
panels.
What would you call it? Presentations.
Yes, presentations is the right word.
So I thought it'd be fun if we were to go through and predict what we might see from each one of them. Any ideas, no matter how wacky or off the whatever it is. Words escape me.
Off the wall.
So should we get started?
Yes.
I only have one guesstimate from Sony.
Okay.
But I guess you could make it 2. Update on the Spider-Verse finale. And maybe they announce a PlayStation IP is becoming a game. A PlayStation IP is becoming a film.
Hadn't considered that. I do think maybe something on Spider-Verse. I also wonder...
that might be a bit copium, but like I want it. let me know how we're getting on.
I should have checked this before. Spider-Man Noir, Sony.
I mean, it will be owned by Sony, but that's TV show.
I suppose, yeah, it won't be out this then.
So I don't think they would be discussing it, but I don't know if CinemaCon's just the name and they're pretty easy about TV.
That was my only other thought with Sony, because of like Spider-Verse. We could joke and meme about a Craven 2 or
if after
Venom
saying
films.
They were done with their Sonyverse for Spider-Man, if they do announce another one, I'm gonna lose my mind with them.
They've said they're done, but they also
teach you this message.
They also rumored that they weren't done with Null.
Yeah, so I really don't know how that's gonna work.
There could be an announcement for that stuff. Like there could be another film, and we have to mentally prepare for that. Unfortunately, but yeah, I can't see anything else major that they might announce.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with you there. Obviously from Lionsgate, I expect we'll get an update on the John Wick spin-off Ballerina.
Yeah, that's
and maybe that. Yeah, so maybe we get like the second trailer for that. I also don't know if they're working on. I think they're working on some other John Wick spin-offs. So we might get an update about them.
Yeah, I want to say there is another one about the Continental some more.
Yeah. And Saw has just announced a new film is coming early next year, I think. Okay. So maybe we'll get more information about that.
Yeah, Lionsgate.
But I don't know what else Lionsgate might be working on.
Yeah, I wasn't sure on Lionsgate. The John Wick stuff makes sense to me.
Yeah,
we know
I mean that's been their cash cow for a while now.
Yeah, and now that the John Wick series has ended,
well, you say that, you never know. They might make another one.
True. I guess we just will kind of wait and see what they might bring out.
Yeah. Warner Bros. Copium, new Superman trailer. We're right around that time now, where a second trailer could be possible.
Yeah.
3-ish months.
Well, hang on. When's Superman anniversary?
Superman Anniversary, I'm not 100% sure.
I'm Googling. Oh, it is when the film comes out. So ignore me on that. It is the day the film releases, July 11th.
Film comes out July 25th, no?
This is saying July 11th. Unless that was the original date and now it's 25th.
Oh no, it does say the 11th of July. Maybe I've got myself confused.
But okay, that forget that idea. My one foot. So yeah, I mean, we are at that midway, like we're close enough that they could warrant another trailer here.
Yeah. And maybe a new MonsterVerse film, because their Godzilla films have been doing they've been the most reliable films for a few years now.
True.
And I know people want more from that, so maybe a new one gets announced or a trailer if there's one that's already been worked on. I'm not that up to date on the MonsterVerse stuff.
I have a couple of.
Okay.
Well, one is brain was still on a bit of TV. I was like, do they show anything of Lanterns? But if they're not doing TV, maybe not.
So it's called CinemaCon. I don't know if they will cover TV stuff. If they do, there is a real chance of maybe something to do with Lanterns or the Harry Potter show.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. My other thought is, and this is a far-fetched hope in hell.
Go on.
We saw some concepts by our favorite animators that made Spider-Verse.
Oh, okay.
Of a Batman Beyond concept.
That would be a mega hype announcement.
We don't know if anything came of that other than the fan reception of like, yes, fucking please, we want this. Yeah. It would be a crazy thing if they just turned around and went, it was just literally just a title screen and that studio's name, and it's just like
Beyond.
We are making this. It is actually going to happen.
That'd be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool. I think that is massive hopium. But it's hopium I can get behind for sure. As a Beyond lover.
Mm.
I've been wrestling with a desire, despite the fact that although my monthly issue comics I'm mostly up to date on, I'm behind on everything else. Mm-hmm. I have been battling the idea of buying more comics recently, like graphic novels rather than individual issues.
Yeah.
And some Batman Beyond comics are tempting for sure, just because I love like that Neo Gotham vibe big time. Yeah. Universal. Now there could be some really fun stuff coming out of Universal potentially. So we could get some teasers or something for the Odyssey,
which Tom Holland's got there this week to do some filming.
Yeah, filming's been going on for a few weeks now. They have some footage. There might have been enough for them to edit a teaser.
That or more first look pictures at least.
Yeah. And maybe we'll get some more information about the Jordan Peele or Steven Spielberg films that are being worked on at Universal. Even if it's just a title and an idea.
Yeah.
Because right now they are just untitled Jordan Peele film and untitled Steven Spielberg film. We could get titles for them even, which could be kind of crazy. In all fairness to them, I don't know who they're going to get to star in these films, because everyone is currently either working on The Odyssey or Avengers Doomsday. That is where every actor on planet Earth currently is.
That's fair. Yeah, good point. I mean, first coming to brain for me was, we've obviously got the upcoming Jurassic Park film, whether there's any more trailer or something.
There might be some more news on that, you're not wrong.
Also, How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, yeah, maybe a second trailer for that as well.
Yeah. Something that was recently teased.
Okay.
Shrek 5. I don't know if they show anything, because they've only just like lightly teased it. But whether they do a slightly longer teaser, maybe.
Yeah.
Depends if they are making animation changes after fans were unhappy.
It'd be very interesting to see.
But that's like that, and then obviously anything Odyssey. We know that's going on at the moment.
Exactly. Amazon. What's the opposite of hopium? So there is some industry insiders who are saying there's a non-zero chance that Amazon put a date for the next James Bond film out there, just to try and start building some hype to maybe get some producers and such interested in working on it. Because if they come out and go, the new James Bond or James Bond will return in 2028, 2027, and everyone goes, fuck yeah, that might just move the needle enough to make a director go, on it, that sounds great. Or someone who's got a James Bond script to go, I've got a script if you'd like to see it. So there is some arguments that they might put a date for the next one, even though they have nothing, to see, like, shake the tree of talent and see what falls out.
So, I don't know if this was never... I don't think we've been said that this happened, but I remember when we talked about The Boys, we joked about the idea of them ending it with a film. What if they do decide to do that? And, like, the way they end it all is with a film. And that's, like, announced that they're going to do that. Because I can't really, like, other than Bond, there isn't, obviously...
any IPs I can think of that particular... But I don't know, are Amazon working on the live-action Invincible film? Or is that being done separately?
That's a good question.
Who's making the live action?
I mean, the only other thing in my brain is obviously back to, we don't know if they do TV stuff at CinemaCon, but if they do, maybe something on Rings of Power.
Quite possibly.
Update or update in that sense. But, like, I'm not even sure on that.
Apparently it's being done by Universal, so Amazon won't be giving us...
Maybe Universal will announce something on that.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be kind of hype. It's been being worked on since 2017, and they promise that it's not dead. So
and to do that right after the recent season where everyone's talking about it would be quite smart. But yeah, Amazon's a bit tougher. Bond is probably the most likely I can think of, or some brand new, like, new original, like, IPs or something that maybe they come up with.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Amazon have the ability to come up with anything new.
I mean, their shows, what they've been doing with taking books for shows, maybe they've picked up a book they're going to make into a film.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of cool to see them go and work with some authors who've got good ideas. Maybe. Yeah. Paramount. Sonic 4. It's very early days, but we might have something, even if it's just like them announcing who's going to voice Amy, because I don't believe Amy has a voice yet, but she was teased at the end. My favourite film to not shut up about, Running Man trailer? Question mark.
Your favourite upcoming film?
I'm like, it's for bearing in mind that stuff we cover. Like, outside of that, this is my next most excited project, just because I'm excited for it. And then the other one that we've not heard anything about in a while, but we know is happening, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem sequel.
Yes,
maybe we get some movement on that.
This would be on my predictions, even if it's just a title card of, like, what this one's called, just to give us a bit of a hint.
Yeah,
it's obviously going to be Shredder. Let's be honest. I think that would be cool. Obviously, you got the Mission Impossible films coming out soonish.
Yeah, I think that's coming out so soon that they wouldn't even bother talking about it.
Yeah, it's whether they want to show another trailer or something for it.
I think it comes out, like, next month.
The only other thing that I know is, I'm pretty sure is linked with Paramount, is the Last Airbender animated is getting a movie. And
okay. Is that being worked on already? Or is that just in pre-production?
I'm pretty sure it might be very early days if it is.
Okay, so it might be too early for them to show anything, but they might have something.
Yeah, whether they maybe some sort of announcement for the fact that it's been worked on, I don't know.
Fair enough.
Lastly, Disney.
So thinking about what's, like, kind of due this year, Disney have got a lot. Disney are always producing so much because they've got so many, like, umbrellas underneath them as well, or so many things under their umbrella rather. My top 3 that I'm probably expecting to see something about, or hoping to see something about, Fantastic Four. Freakier Friday, because they are marketing this film that no one wants to the high heavens, and Avatar 3, Fire and Ash, I think
Fire
it's
and
called.
Ash, yeah.
So I won't be shocked if we see something from that.
I heard you're going to the premiere of Avatar 3.
Hey, if James Cameron wants to invite me, I'll go
to
along,
try and convince you.
And then I'll just make him talk to me about Terminator the entire time instead. I'll be like, oh, yeah, blue people, really cool. Talk to me about them really cool robots.
Fantastic Four, I agree with. I do think there's another maybe extended trailer from what we've had, so it's like kind of the same but a little bit extra.
Yeah.
Avatar 3 wouldn't surprise me. They're bound to show something that kind of teases what effects they've pumped their money into this time. I'm sure it's all smoke simulations and ash simulations. I'm trying to think of anything else that might come from Disney. Part of me would love something Star Wars related. I think that gets saved for Star Wars Celebrations. That's what they usually do. But
the only reason I'm thinking we'll get Fantastic Four is because that's out before Comic-Con.
Well, yeah.
Or the major Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So, like, they would probably want to do that before. That's the only reason I would put anything Marvel on this list.
But yeah, I'd love to see something Star Wars, but I think that's more likely going to be saved for something else.
Yeah, I completely agree.
But yeah, some potential hype little teasers to come out.
That I'm hoping that I'm kind of stuck in this spot where I'm kind of not really expecting anything that's going to interest us personally too much. There might be a couple of films that are kind of cool that we'll go see, but maybe not things we'd cover normally here. But there is chance for like Spider-Verse, Superman, Odyssey, Bond, Running Man, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Fantastic Four. Like, if things go our way, we could have a lot of really cool stuff coming out of this. Or it could be a case of, unfortunately, CinemaCon was not for us this time.
Yeah, there's, like you say, either not really many things, or it'll be mainly just announcements of things we're interested in, that this is coming on this day, or this is confirmed to be being worked on because it's early days. Or if we're very lucky, like you say, a few trailers and teasers that gives us some new stuff.
Yes. But that is it from CinemaCon. We'll check back in next week to see what ended up happening.
We will.
Let's get into some Nerd News Network.
Yes, some Nerd News.
So the Russo Bros' latest film, Electric State, which released on Netflix, only managed to rake in 25.2 million views in like its first week. It had a budget of 320 million. My best guess is that it probably got less views than a bunch of Chairs did earlier today.
So, I have stats for you here.
Okay, brilliant.
The Chairs on Twitter alone has ended at the moment with 11.1 million views. So it's had basically half of the Netflix views on just Twitter.
On Twitter alone. What did the YouTube one look like? That one's got to have done something.
Let's have a look.
That had 3.2 million, but because that's a live stream, that doesn't update perfectly accurately. But still, even 3.2 puts it at 16. They were live on Instagram as well.
They've probably got close to 20 million views off just some Chairs.
There was like 100 million fucking people restreaming it on TikTok and reacting to it live. So yeah, I think 5 hours of Chairs got more views than the Russo Bros' last film they released, which is a little bit concerning.
I wonder. Obviously, I haven't seen the film. Don't know how well it's been received in like
badly.
Okay,
really badly.
My other question was going to be, how much of this is on Netflix is just struggling?
I mean, you know my opinions on a Netflix-only film. I think there have been very, very few good ones. I think there's been a couple watchable ones, and I think there's been a whole pile of shit. They've marketed the fuck out of this one compared to other Netflix original films. And I think at the time of this being written, 25 million views, they've essentially spent, what, $6 per view they got.
Yeah, I've just looked. Rotten Tomatoes has got a 16%. So yeah, that's not ideal.
Not very interesting. By the sounds of it, the concept wasn't particularly enticing. The acting wasn't great. The script was pretty weak, and no one really knows how it physically costs that much money to make.
Probably
so
marketing.
Not ideal. This is an interesting story. So Samuel L. Jackson has recorded a story, I assume from when they were working on Die Hard 2 together, in which Bruce Willis told him he needs to find a character he can keep going back to no matter what to protect himself from any box office failures. And Bruce Willis used the example of him having John McClane in the Die Hard series and Stallone always having Rocky and Rambo to rely on. Samuel L. Jackson took on the advice but forgot about it and said it only dawned on him when he got his 9-picture deal as Nick Fury that he'd finally found that character he could keep going back to. And famously, I'm not sure if he currently is in first place, but Samuel L. Jackson is always in first or second as like the highest earning box office actor of all time. Him and Scarlett Johansson literally go backwards and forwards constantly based on who released the film last. So he's either in first or second right now.
It flips around, but yeah. I mean,
really good advice from Bruce Willis in all fairness to go, if you can have a character that you can go back to and it will keep making you money even if you release 4 bombs in a row.
And like, he got the perfect role in the Marvel stuff of being like, oh, this is the character that will very easily show up in many films.
Now this is an interesting one as well. Apple is reportedly losing $1 billion a year on their streaming platform. According to theinformation.com, this is despite them hosting critically acclaimed shows like Ted Lasso, Shrinking, and Severance. Now, I think there are 2 ways of looking at this. As a $1 trillion company who are focused on technology, is losing $1 billion a year while allowing artists to create genuine art, which I think some of the better Apple TV stuff does 100% fall into that category of it's genuinely art. Like Shrinking, Severance, and Ted Lasso are the 3 big shows I know if they've gotten there. They have all received insane critical acclaim. They are like, me and Jenna are getting ready to do another month of Apple TV to binge watch Severance, Shrinking, rewatch Ted Lasso, and watch the new season. That's like our plan.
Yeah.
But how have they not made it profitable? And the fact that they're losing money and they're such a big company, does that end up just being them cutting it off? Or do they accept them losses and go, we're actually providing art? Because here's the thing, in an ideal world, art should lose or be able to lose money and not worry. In the perfect world, you should run art in a way where everyone who needs to get paid gets paid, and you have some big rich fucker who doesn't care they're losing money because they're like, yes, but I'm supporting art, it's worth it.
Yes.
Right now, all of the rich fucks in the world are pieces of shit, and corporations never accept losing money because their shareholders will kill them.
So here's my thing. Apple TV will never have been like, look at Apple TV the same way Amazon looks at Prime Video, Twitch. It is not the product they are trying to sell. They don't care if it makes a loss. Like Amazon, their product that makes them all their money is Amazon Web Service, AWS. That's all that, like, they don't care if Amazon itself or Amazon Prime or Twitch, like any of that's making a loss, as long as they are selling Amazon Web Service. That's what their funnel is. Apple's funnel is they want to get people into the Apple ecosystem. You get them onto an iPhone, then you try and get them onto an Apple Watch, an iPad, then you get them onto Macs, MacBooks. Hopefully, maybe you get them to buy an Apple TV. They want people bought into the ecosystem. So them losing money on Apple TV because they're spending on making shows that are hopefully going to incentivize people into their ecosystem, I think they don't care. I also think I bet most streaming services, if you actually start looking at the numbers, are probably making a loss.
Probably.
And
Do you know what I think?
I think all
Part
of
of
them.
Apple's problem is.
Go on.
Now that I've sort of just gone on their website to look at it, another critically acclaimed show they have that I forgot about, Slow Horses. How many fucking Emmys did that win earlier this year when we covered the Emmys? On so many. They don't buy much content.
They did at first, but I don't think they do now.
They gave up on that very quick, and they're investing in content. So as a result, no one's buying Apple TV going, oh, I really want to watch Friends. Like, do you remember back in the day, everyone's like, wait, you don't have Netflix, it's £6 a month, you can watch all of Friends.
Yeah.
And like that's why Netflix was successful in the early days, because the old stuff that didn't get shown on TV constantly anymore was all on Netflix. So it's £6 a month, you could watch anything that wasn't on TV. And Apple tried to do that and failed. And now I'm looking here, and they are just investing a lot of money in making their own stuff.
Well, yeah,
and because it's their own stuff, no one cares enough to go and find it.
Well, yes and no. I think their plan, they're bargaining on, putting their chips on. We're going to make our own stuff. We're going to give it plenty of budget. We're going to really make an effort to make some great original shows, which they've succeeded at.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where, because it's ours, this isn't ever going to live on a different platform.
Yeah.
It's only ever going to live on Apple TV. We're going to get it. These shows are going to be so good and win so many awards that people are talking about. They have no choice but to buy Apple TV. And then that's the first step of getting them in the door to get them into the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah. I think if they accept losing money for another 3 years, which, let's be honest, Apple can afford to do, I think they'll start seeing the tide turn. Shows like Severance, Seth Rogen's new drama comedy, The Studio, has just started on there, which apparently is doing pretty well. I'd be curious to see how it does. Maybe they do just need to find a old show that people like, oh, I need to be able to access that, and just buy that as a door in for some people, and then let them discover some of the other stuff. Maybe they've gone too much just investing in new content.
I mean, I'm looking now. Netflix apparently is making a profit. I find hard to believe.
They reported a profit in their last quarter after jacking up the prices again.
Prime Video is
really difficult to actually know because it's included in Prime. If you buy Prime for getting next day delivery, you get the base version of TV.
Disney Plus has had subscriber loss, but they still turned a profit, apparently. I think these ones are just scraping by profitability, but I think that's a recent thing. I saw someone make a point of, for the longest time, the streaming services, all the big hitters, have all been actively been making losses, waiting for one of the other ones to figure out how to be profitable. And it started since they've started bringing ads into subscription options. You have to pay more to not get ads.
Do you think that could be? Does Apple have a tier like that?
I don't know. Apple TV tiers. No.
So maybe that would be something that can turn the tide. If they offer £3 a month with ads, and people are like, Severance, Ted Lasso is worth £3 a month, even if I have to watch adverts.
Up the price of the one without ads.
Yeah.
And then they're also getting the ad money.
Because when here's the thing, you know me, I hate very rich companies. I want them to burn in hell. But as long as they serve society in some way by allowing creative people to make their stuff, I'm like, you get a stay of execution.
Yeah.
That is what Apple are doing better than I think anyone right now. Like Ben Stiller is not someone you expect to make something as dramatic and riveting as like Severance, but he's being allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And I just think maybe, I don't know, maybe if they can just find a couple of shows that people are willing to pay to have access to, they'll find the rest of the library and be like, well, I'm not leaving.
I think Apple's playing the long game of having enough quality shows that are award-winning that people go, oh, I'd
What's
rather
going
have
on over there?
Well, I'd rather have Apple TV than my Netflix subscription. Like I'm more there's more value over here. They're playing like the long game of that, I think, and they're a big enough company that they can play that game.
Yeah.
So
no, maybe you're completely right. I think it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out long term.
Oh yeah.
According to the Hollywood Reporter, the Jason Bourne franchise is being sold to another studio. Skydance, Apple, and Netflix are apparently all interested. However, there is no evidence yet if Matt Damon will be involved in any reboots. Maybe this is what we were literally just talking about with Apple. If they can find a way to keep Matt Damon involved, maybe they can turn Jason Bourne into their thing that people care about.
Yeah, they could. They can pick up an IP. Like, imagine if Apple had picked up Bond.
Again, I would have been scared about that. I don't want Bond to exist outside of England when it comes to the creative element of it.
But like, that's
an IP of that scale. Yeah. If they could have got hold of, I don't know, like Transformers, they go and buy the fucking Transformers IP or something.
It wouldn't surprise me, although they're not mentioned. Wouldn't surprise me if Amazon is also interested. Imagine you can't tell me
they should have gone for Bourne. Because they're going to turn James Bond into a Bourne style thing.
Well, you can't tell me they wouldn't love to have both Bond and Bourne.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely would have been an interesting one for sure. Next up, Glenn Powell is apparently in discussions to star in the next...
Man's doing everything.
Next Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, sorry. Just the next Chainsaw Massacre. Keep an eye out for that, ladies and gentlemen. Is he ever going to stop hopping genres? I really hope he doesn't.
I don't think he will, because he's sort of in that generation of actors that saw actors get pinned into one genre and die out when that genre was not trending. And he also saw actors that, like, he's seen like Matthew McConaughey, who took the leap to get away from rom-coms, and like it's benefited him massively to bounce between. He doesn't do a huge range of genres, but like he has done a range now because he was scared of getting pinned in that. I think it's that same mindset of like, he doesn't want to get pinned into a genre, and studios stop going, oh, what about Glenn Powell? And they go, oh, he only does that type of film.
Yeah, I think there's a real element of that. I mean, in the Discord earlier, we were talking about Glenn Powell.
We were.
And I said, for a little while, I was a bit of a hater because it felt like he was everywhere. And he felt like I was being forced, like he was being forced down my throat. No matter what genre I looked at, he was there. And then I watched The Hitman, his film on Netflix, one of the only good Netflix films. And he's so good in that. And obviously, I'd seen him in Top Gun Maverick, and I'm like, oh, okay. And they did a press tour for one of his things. He was like, I just want to make films that excite me. It might have been. I just want to make films that excite me and I want to do. And he came across as so genuine and passionate about film. On that moment, I was like, okay, I see what you're trying to do, Glenn Powell, and I support you. Go out there and make your films. I will be there. Obviously, he's going to be in Running Man, which I'm over the moon excited for. And I'm very quickly becoming a Glenn Powell, I will be there no matter what type guy, which we need because it feels like Tom Cruise is like the last film star, is what people have been saying. He's the last guy whose name puts butts in seats.
Yeah, we're getting some new ones emerging, like Tom Holland,
in the last,
I
don't even think Tom Holland there yet. I think if he does well in the Odyssey, he could be. But I think the only genuine three we've got that are like young are Zendaya, Glenn Powell, and Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think there are any who are like They are actors before the character they're famous for.
I get you,
yeah. So I want the three of them to have incredibly successful careers because the cinema industry needs them.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about Bond at Amazon, apparently David Heyman and Amy Pascal are in talks to / have taken over the development of the Bond franchise. Heyman was the developer of the Harry Potter films, and Pascal worked on the Tom Holland Spider-Man films. Very experienced producers who have made successful films. I still don't trust anyone that Amazon thinks will do what they want for the Bond franchise when the people who led the Bond franchise successfully thought they were fucking morons.
I'm glad they've got one person who understands the IP they're being trusted with in like the Harry Potter films. Like he's gonna have an understanding of like this is a well-loved British IP. Like he handled the Harry Potter films. Hopefully he would handle the Bond films the same way. Obviously got Pascal who worked on the Spider-Man films. We've enjoyed them. My worry is we've seen what Amazon does when the people they've put in charge say no to them. There's been no like these people could come in, could also have the same opinion about Amazon's ideas, and then we're just going to be like, oh, Jeff Bezos goes, right, get rid of them as well. They're not fitting either. Like, are they going to be more stubborn to fight against Jeff Bezos? And I doubt it.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. They might be put in a position where they're just trying to make the best of whatever they're told to make, rather than they try and develop a film around a character.
Yeah,
maybe we're being too negative here, but I feel like I try and be positive about a lot of negative shit, and I do not play when it comes to James Bond. He's my fucking boy, and I need that IP to get some respect, please.
Yeah, I don't trust Jeff Bezos to not get his ego hurt again and throw a party.
I think that's a very fair assessment. Kristen Ritter famously played Jessica Jones in the Netflix series.
Yes.
Which I always refer to them as the Netflix series. If you do want to watch them because you haven't seen them before, they are on Disney Plus now.
Yeah, that is true. They are.
So it happened at Netflix, but you now watch it on Disney Plus. It's a bit weird. Sorry if I've made that more confusing. Anyway, she's cautiously optimistic of a return as Jessica Jones, going on to say, if they ask, I will be there.
We've heard a few things.
She didn't say who had to ask. I am asking.
I mean, we know that I think at this point of all the Defenders said that they would come back.
I don't know if anyone's heard from Finn Jones, who played Danny Rand. Has he done anything since? Did it ruin his career? It might have ruined his career. Oh, no. Finn Jones is English.
It's not.
Post 2018, what has that man done? Nothing. He's in Swimming with Sharks. Don't know what that is. And Awake.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, he probably made good money.
I don't know if anyone's asked him if he'd want to come back.
But yeah, like this is another step towards potentially all the Netflix characters being.
There is a big pull online of people going, bring Kristen Ritter and I forget the actor's name who played Luke Cage. Bring them back. They were brilliant. We want more of them. And I am in that contingent. Mm-hmm. It's good to know that she would like the idea of coming back as well. She's already in New York working on Dexter, one of the spin-offs for Dexter. Yeah. She's there. Just pull her in.
Yeah.
Like, get it done. Now, shall we discuss the chairs?
The multiple chairs.
How many chairs? Do you have a final count on the chairs?
Let me do a final count real quick.
How many chairs were there? How many chairs would it take to chair, if in fact a chair could chair?
27 chairs in total.
27 chairs. Does that include Robert Downey Jr.'s chair?
It does.
Okay. So 26 new chairs.
26 new chairs, yes.
Okay. So for those of you who missed it, on the day of recording, Wednesday the 26th of March,
just a random Wednesday of March.
Yeah. Marvel went live at 3 p.m. in the UK. I'm not going to do time zones for you. You're a big boy. You can figure it out if you need to. They were live for approximately 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
And every 15 minutes, they revealed a new set chair with an actor's name on the back to reveal the cast for Avengers Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
Horizontal, would you like to read out some of the names from that list?
I do have a list. And to add a little more context to this, how this day evolved for us as the viewer and fans, we went into this being unsure what was being announced. We had
no clue.
The only thing was a rumor of a bigger announcement than RDJ being in Doomsday.
Yeah.
To which,
and I'm still on the fence of whether they met that. Or not.
think they did with some of these names.
They're definitely in the ballpark of it. I don't think it was egregious to claim it, but I think it's a bit 50-50.
But from the first handful, we were very much, or the first couple, before we got like confirmation this was Doomsday, we were like, could this be Secret Wars? Could this be soft reboot stuff? Could this be X-Men
could this be something that's happening after Secret War? Even
to be bigger than our DJ, like we were throwing a lot of ideas out. Then the first few came in, and we got it was Doomsday, and we're like, okay, we're gonna get the new Avengers lineup. How wrong we were. So the first chair that kicked this whole thing off over 5.5 hours ago at this point, like 6 hours ago, was Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Returning as Thor, I mean, fairly expected.
People saw that. The initial comments under the tweet were just 4-5? People thought it was a 4-5 announcement.
4-5 before Blade film. Then the second chair was Vanessa Kirby as Invisible Woman, who we are soon to see in the Fantastic Four film. Then we got Anthony Mackie, obviously playing Captain America.
Captain America.
Followed by Sebastian Stan, his brother-in-arms of Winter Soldier. Then we got Letitia Wright coming back as Shuri, Black Panther. Then we got a little chair, just a small chair for Paul Rudd. I really
wish... Was the little chair really that early?
Yeah, I know. It feels like it was so...
years ago, lifetimes ago.
But it felt ages into it, and then also now feels ages ago. I still stand by the fact I wish they'd had them all walk out at the end and sit down, and Paul Rudd having to like maneuver sitting on it. Like just end it with him trying to work out how to sit on his tiny chair. Following that was the first kind of pick, because at this point we're like, okay, this is Avengers. Like these all make sense.
There's nothing particularly special.
No, this all makes sense as potentially the new Avengers team plus Invisible Woman. Why she's kind of there on her own was a bit strange. Then we got Wyatt Russell, US agent.
Yeah.
And we were a bit like...
That tilted me.
Yeah, that was a rogue pick.
I think that's why I started to lose a little bit of faith.
I think this was where you were like, I hate this idea. Why are we sitting here waiting 14 minutes for a chair? I was like, trust the process. I believe. Because I think it was around here you were like kind of done with this.
What? Yeah.
Now, this name I'm going to butcher. Tanot Hurta Majia. I've absolutely butchered.
You've done your best. That's all we can do.
Namor. The actor playing Namor.
And that had me back on board.
You flipped instantly to, okay, this is hype. We've got Namor.
I folded like a cheap suit. Yeah. I was very excited for Namor before Black Panther 2. And I kind of, as bad as it is, I hadn't forgot about Namor existing in the MCU, but he wasn't in my mind when thinking about an Avengers film. So seeing him come up, I was like, oh, yeah, let's go.
Also, then, with the added level of Namor and Invisible Woman being in a film together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A bit of one-way flirting, some might say.
Sexual harassment, that's what that's called.
So, like, at this point, we are 8 chairs in. Yeah, 2 hours in, 8 chairs. We're like,
how much longer can this possibly go for?
This was now starting to get a bit more rogue, and we're like, okay, where's this going? Then we were followed up with Ibn Mosabakar as the Thing. Here's the Thing. Followed by Simu Liu as for Shang-Chi.
Yeah, someone else who I kind of forgot about because it's been so long since he got a film.
Did you see him tweet right after that chair got announced, where it's like pops head out of karaoke room? Following that, we got Florence Pugh as Yelena. Where at this point I was like, okay, we're going to start seeing. We've had 3 of the characters that are going to be in Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
So I kind of was like, okay, we're going to get some more of the Thunderbolts, maybe some more of the staple picks for the Avengers team. Then we got Throne. We got misdirected and completely blindsided, I feel. We got Kelsey Grammer as the Beast.
I lost my mind at this one. I was like, holy shit, that's Beast. I got a little bit salty that none of you were also typing in all capitals.
But like at the same time, we were like, well, he was at the end of Marvels. I think
it made a bit of sense.
The exact conversation in our group chat was like, well, he showed up at the end of Marvels. We know this is a multiverse. We're like, okay, this makes sense. Cool. Beast, sure, we kind of a given. Then we got Lewis Pullman, who you were like, new name! And I was like, no, that's Sentry. Through you, like, rogue a little bit. Followed by Danny Ramirez for Falcon. Then we got Joseph Quinn as Human Torch.
Yeah. Back to the kind of what we were expecting type things.
Yeah, at this point we've had 3 of the Fantastic Four, so it's like, okay, where's Pedro? He's got to turn up soon. This is about the halfway point.
Okay.
Ish.
This is when it starts to kick in a bit, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and we're like, okay, we've got the Fantastic Four, we've got Thunderbolts, we've got like the main Avengers with a couple of rogue picks. David Harbour, Red Guardian, another Thunderbolt. Then we got Winston Duke as Baku, which also kind of makes sense. We've had Shuri already.
Yeah.
We got Hannah John Kamen as Ghost.
Yeah.
Of which you also made the point at this point of, if we don't get Taskmaster, this is a new level of dead.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, there is no Taskmaster in the rest of these chairs.
A character has never been as dead going into a film as Taskmaster currently is.
I wish after this one they'd given us one with a name like with tape over it, and we couldn't quite tell what it was, and people have been like, maybe Taskmaster's still alive. But no, not looking good. Then we got a rogue hype pick, I feel, that we probably were. I don't think either of us would have expected this one. We got Tom Hiddleston with Loki.
Yeah. I wanted to stay hopeful that we'd see Loki again, but they ended his story in very much a way where it was very reasonable to just go, you're never going to see him again.
Yeah.
So that got me quite hype. I was like, oh fuck, that would be kind of cool.
Something we should also mention for the people that didn't watch. On the 14-minute mark, we knew a new chair was coming because music started playing. A theme song. A lot of these, I think we both had no fucking clue. There are the iconic ones.
For the first hour and a half, I had no audio because I was still at work. So I was just flicking over to see what was going on. So I like some of the early ones I probably would have got the character themes for because I've seen a lot more of them. But yeah, by the time we've got to this point, I'm not recognizing many character themes, and then the TVA music starts. I'm like, holy shit, I recognize this. What the fuck is this?
Well, yeah, I think Anthony Mackie I tuned in when it was Vanessa Kirby's chair was already there, and it started playing Avengers music, and that's when we got Anthony Mackie, and I was like, oh shit, okay. But yeah, the TVA music started, and we got Loki. Very interesting how this is going to play into the story. For those that have seen Loki, have some idea of what's gone on there. We're potentially going to have Thor realize that Loki's alive, but it's not his Loki.
It's the infinite Loki. He finally became the god he wanted to be.
Or is he just going to be like, like the TVA might only be involved in the sense of like they know these worlds are colliding, but the people on the worlds don't interact with the TVA really. who knows? This is all adding to the theory pool. This is when I feel was the start of, yes, this was more hype than the RDJ announcement.
Mm-hmm.
It's
when they started to make the argument, for sure.
This is where it took a turn. At this point, all of these have kind of felt in that Avengers realm. And
I would like to point out, at this point, I did start predicting some of the names we might see.
You did. You did predict, like, you threw out a Patrick Stewart. I think it was at this after Tom Hiddleston, you were like, oh, imagine we get Patrick Stewart followed by McKellen. To which immediately we are met with X-Men theme music, and we both freaked the fuck out.
Bearing in mind, we weren't in a call for this.
No, this is just chat.
So every time the music starts, it's like music. We're all listening, and we'll just go, wait, no. When I heard that electric guitar of the X-Men theme, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I lost my mind.
The X-Men music kicked in, and us of that generation, our inner child lit up, and we got Patrick Stewart's Professor X, which I think, similar to Beast, not a crazy stretch of the imagination, as we've already had him return once before.
Yeah.
For that to then be followed with Ian McKellen as Magneto, returning as Magneto, was quite hype to have them back to back.
McKellen straight after, I think my soul lifted me off the couch for a solid 5 seconds. You know my feelings about Sir Ian McKellen.
Oh, I'm so excited for him to get to be in the MCU properly. It was at this point I was doing some maths and pattern recognition of being like, well, we had 6 chairs between Invisible Woman and the Thing, and 5 between the Thing and Human Torch. This has now been 6 chairs again. We should get Pedro. How wrong I was.
You were very wrong.
But in the best sense ever, because we got Alan Cumming. Some people
I lost my mind
as Nightcrawler.
So I saw the name Alan Cumming, and I said no Alan Cumming is. I was like, wait, has he been in a Marvel film? So for a second I thought we'd be getting a new character. And then I Googled him, and I looked at his face for a third of a second, and I was like, oh wait, no shit, he played Nightcrawler! Because it was so long ago.
We did the exact same thing. Also, like, in the X-Men films, like, he's in full makeup. So it's like...
Yeah, pretty intense makeup as well.
I was like, Alan Cumming. I put in the name, and obviously immediately it's his... The first picture is him, and then the next one is him as Nightcrawler, and I was like, oh shit, it's Nightcrawler. Like, to which then it clicked, we've had 3 X-Men in a row.
Yeah.
Where is this going? And this is when we were like, started throwing out what other names are we going to start getting. I think this is where you threw out James Marsden. Like, we started going through the OG cast. After this, we got Rebecca Romijn.
Yeah.
I think I was saying that last name right. Mystique.
Yeah. So ironically, I can't pronounce her surname either, but I recognise it. So I saw that, I was like, oh shit, it's Mystique. I couldn't believe it. I really didn't expect her.
At which point on Twitter, I'm like, I'd been tweeting and I was like, oh, we've gone 4 in a row. Then we got James Marsden with Cyclops. 5 in a row. Of which I was like, surely
Jean's next.
Surely we get Jean, like either Jean or Halle Berry for Storm. Like, they're the only other 2 that we were like, these gonna show up as well. We got Channing Tatum. Now, we loved him as Gambit. Great as Gambit. We were of the opinion of, we kind of don't want him to be the mainstay Gambit going forward.
Yeah.
But he got his moment. He got to live out that dream of playing Gambit. We loved that for him. Then obviously there was the little post-film teaser showing that, oh, he got saved by a pole. Gambit's not gone. I'm okay with this. This is like, out of all the picks, I'm a bit like mixed on it, because I'm like, I'm okay with this. Of him getting a full film where he gets to be in the big group. Like, he gets to live out that Gambit as part of the X-Men.
Yes.
He gets that moment, but I'm still of the opinion he should not be Gambit post-soft reboot.
You know my opinions on this. Yeah. I think he did a lot better than I ever would have expected him to do, but he's not the right person to be Gambit full time in going into the reboot. No. I'm kind of okay if they decided they wanted Gambit in this film to go back to him one last time, but this really does need to be the one last time.
I think it gives him that moment of for him to feel like, oh, I got to be in the X-Men as Gambit, which is something he wanted to do, and let's be clear, at this point, this is 25 in. The rumor was there could be up to 50 chairs. Was the only rumor we're going off. We have no idea if this was a credible source. We're just in the moment at this point. Unfortunately, there was only 2 more chairs, but we were very well prepared for this to go on another 4 hours and give us another 25 characters. This is where we got Pedro Pascal finally as Mr. Fantastic, wrapping up all 4 Fantastic Four characters being in this. And then if you've watched the whole podcast episode, as you saw at the beginning of this episode, we kind of got very quickly distracted because someone was moving on the live stream, and a certain Robert Downey Jr. Walked all the way down the chairs and sat down in the last chair and gave the camera a shush. Ending this little live stream announcement, and obviously he is returning as Doctor Doom, not as Iron Man.
But this leaves a lot of notable absentees.
Yes.
And our friends over at Discussing Film, while we've been recording, have put together a tweet containing...
Oh, have they?
And this is a direct quote from them. Major MCU stars not included in the Avengers Doomsday cast. So I'm going to start at the top and work my way down here. Chris Evans and Hayley Atwell. Not necessarily a massive shock, but if they were included, I don't think it would have been a shock either. No Mark Ruffalo.
True.
That is a shock. No Okoye, which with the amount of Black Panther cast included here, a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
No Chris Pratt as Star-Lord.
That was at one point we mentioned there'd been no Guardians yet, and if I guessed anyone, Chris Pratt would, because we know he's back on Earth.
But... Not necessarily a huge shock this next one, but I'm a bit surprised. No Charlie Cox.
Yeah, we did joke about that one showing up.
People are desperate for Daredevil to get a proper run on the big screen, and I think this would have been a good time to do it. No Benedict Wong as Wong.
Yeah.
One that is like an arrow to my heart, Aman Vellani as Miss Marvel isn't included. You know my feelings about her.
Yeah.
Like an arrow to somewhere else, no Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye.
I respect the effort there with that segue, but it definitely pained me internally.
Like an arrow. So we know the Avengers are going to lose because they have no Hawkeye. Now, this is genuinely a massive one. No Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Next up, no Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight. Little bit of a surprise. Again, because he's more TV side, it's not a huge shock.
No, but it was another name we'd thrown around predicting stuff. Yeah.
Tessa Thompson, Valkyrie, has been with Thor through his last 2 outings, omitted.
True.
We got Ant-Man, but we did not get the Wasp. No Evangeline Lilly.
No, we didn't.
And these, I think, now that we've got a bit deeper, these are some of the ones that are a bit more surprising. Paul Bettany as Vision won't be returning.
That I'm kind of like, we don't know what's going on with him at the moment, so it's like
we know he's out there.
Yeah,
but
I can be okay with that.
This is another one that I will not forgive certain parts of the internet for. No Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk, which is fucking criminal because she's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Now we've got 2 that are big shocks in my opinion. Don Cheadle and Brie Larson as War Machine and Captain Marvel, respectively, are not going to be a part of this. Bearing in mind, they were quite a big part of Infinity War and Endgame.
I will say, there is chance that there are people that appear that they haven't told us. It's unlikely, don't get me wrong,
I
But
think
there is
if
a
they're trying to
chance.
save surprises, you don't do a 6.5 hour live stream with a bunch of chairs. The deadest character in the history of dead characters, Taskmaster, is surprisingly not returning. Dominique Thorne as Ironheart, not included.
I mean,
Having already made her appearance in Black Panther.
Yes, but we also know that she's got her show coming out, which is gonna like, or film. I forget what it is
A
now.
bit of a surprise. I think
Yeah.
this one's a massive shock. We had this as a banger. No
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury.
This was a surprise.
Hmm.
I think out of all of these so far, if there is one they're keeping secret and does appear, it would be Nick Fury. Like they can get away with having them just show
up. Haley Steinfeld will not be returning as Kate Bishop for this film.
No.
Like an arrow to the heart. No Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, which
we don't know if
I'm
she's
not
alive.
sure if it's a surprise or not. I mean, the Scarlet Witch is alive. I refuse to believe she's dead. If they killed her off that way, Multiverse of Madness actually is a bad film because it felt so not like a real death.
Everyone's pretty much of the opinion of she's not dead, but the way they left her character, she is meant to be presumed dead or gone. So, makes sense.
I would just like to remind everyone at this point, this is discussing films lists they've put together. This is not my opinion. Dakota Johnson will not be returning as Madam Web. I'd like to point out that they did say major MCU stars. This is a little meme discussing film like to Paul, where they throw Madam Web in when talking about things much more important than Madam Web.
Say, this is the biggest troll because also, you know it's a troll because they have added none of the other Sonyverse characters.
Zotili Gomez will not be returning as America Chavez, which again, bearing in mind we know it's a multiverse film, I think is a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
Tiona Paris will not be returning as Monica Rambeau, which is a bit of a surprise when like Beast was separated from the X-Men to make us think about the end of the Marvels. But it is worth noting none of the Marvels are included, which is incredible because that film was great. Fuck you if you disagree. And I'd say alongside Spider-Man, Hulk, and Nick Fury, the other banker that I would have genuinely put money on having a chair, Benedict Cumberbatch is not returning as Doctor Strange.
I mean, yes and no, because the man said he was in it, then he said he wasn't. He'd lied. So technically, he was telling the truth the second time. But we also kind of presumed he was playing the double bluff and lying again, so...
Yeah. At this point, I'm hoping we've got another 6-hour stream next week. Because there's some big characters we're missing here.
There is... It's... At the end of the day, a major thing is, like, we don't know to what level these characters show up. Like, if it's, like, in a final moment scene sort of thing. We don't know the story. We have our predictions of it's, like, maybe 3 different worlds. There's clearly going to be some collision. Connor's pretty sure that our Fox X-Men are going to get absolutely obliterated in a chance.
I'm not as convinced of that now that the stream has stopped. Now that like there wasn't more of the Avengers involved, I'm not as convinced.
Okay.
Because they make up like a quarter of the names now. At the time, I was like, oh, there's going to be 50 names, so they're going to be like 10%.
There could be the case of they're going to keep some of the names surprises. And maybe this is their way of trying to combat leaks because they're like, okay, we give them this many characters. Maybe they miss if one of these people show up for a shoot. Like,
maybe
just flood us with so many characters that we're paying attention to all these characters that are going to be in it. We miss like Chris Pratt being somewhere or something like that. Maybe that's part of their plan.
My genuine chief concern after this, we are not a fan of Robert Downey Jr. as Doom.
I'm more so willing to accept it if they get the right story for it.
Okay, so that is the only argument. If you tell the story right, maybe it can make a bit of sense.
Yeah.
Look at that cast list. Who there has a strong relationship with Tony Stark that would be exploited?
I mean, you've got Thor, like Captain America.
No, but what one OG Avenger that wasn't that close to Stark? Anthony Mackie was around, but wasn't super close to Tony. If you look at the characters that had really strong relationships, Doctor Strange had an insanely close relationship.
Oh,
Hulk had an
yeah.
insanely close relationship. Spider-Man, Vision. I mean, even Nick Fury had a really tight relationship with him.
So here's where I think they're gonna save that stuff for Secret War. I think the Doom story in this film is going to be closer tied to the Fantastic Four's world.
Maybe.
And I actually think all the characters from our world is... So, okay, here's my prediction. Going off the characters we've got, the ones that aren't in it, and rough prediction of what we think they might do with RDJ's Doom. I think Doom is part of the Fantastic Four's world.
Okay.
Does something to the X-Men, Fox X-Men world, whether it is destroy it or like there's some incursion incident between them, or it's the Fantastic Four end up on the X-Men world and that's where Robert Downey Jr. is as Doom. Like, that's where I think the main story is going to be, those two worlds interacting. The ones that are there from our world, I think, are going to be an end of film thing where it sets up Secret War. Of like, something happens to the story that's been going on that is the start of, and like Doom starts like this Secret War. Like, and the ones we see are going to be, we're going to get a shot of some of the characters from our world getting pulled off world to Battle World or whatever, however it works. I think they're actually not going to be huge parts. I think they're more going to be there. And that's why we're getting like a weird range of them. And then Secret War is going to be stacked.
Yeah.
That's kind of my prediction of how I think this works the best. Because like, you're not wrong. Like you say, the ones that have a really strong relationship with our Iron Man, RDJ, aren't there. But saving that for Secret War, I do think works better. Of like,
I don't know,
using that emotional side of things.
It concerns me a little bit. I'm curious to see how it goes, because making, like, yes, a Doom story should absolutely center around Doom and the Fantastic Four. But if you're going to do that, why the fuck do you cast the actor who played Tony Stark famously as the face of the MCU for years? If you're going to do that, you make it about his relationship with existing characters. So don't you make that the first story? And then in that first story where he's manipulating Spider-Man and shit, he develops that rivalry with the Fantastic Four that you can then use in the second film to some way of making it work.
Unfortunately, because this Loki won't be the Loki from that world, because obviously he died, there could have been something there where like Loki discovers, oh, this is an Iron Man, actually. This is a world where he's someone else. And like, there's a play there you could do. I get your concerns. I'm still confident in this film. This casting alone has got me hyped enough. Like, I'm
really curious to see what they're cooking.
I'm just excited that we are potentially going to get, like we had with Deadpool and Wolverine, where we said it was really cool that a lot of the Fox characters got their chance, and Channing Tatum got his chance to play these characters and have like their final hurrah and goodbye, and really send off those roles properly because they never got the chance. It'll be cool to get to see that for the rest of these X-Men characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I'm curious to see what their plan is. And a number of people already pointed out, does this film end up having its title changed to Avengers versus X-Men? With the amount of X-Men thrown in.
Don't think so.
Neither do I.
Because I still think it's a situation, like you said, where like the Fox X-Men world gets eviscerated. Like, I don't think they end up playing a huge part, but they set up that there's going to be a soft reboot of the X-Men, and they're setting up this secret war, and they're setting up this soft reboot that we've always kept talking about.
I'm 99% sure Doomsday ends with incursions happening across the multiverse.
Yeah, and the beginning of Secret War.
Mm-hmm. But there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you like and subscribe down below, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.